Right, so get this. Listeners want to deep dive into the Turing test. We've got a whole stack of research and articles about this, well, classic test of machine intelligence. But, is it even relevant anymore? I mean, with, Chat GPT and AI, that seems so, well, human.
It is intriguing. The Turing test was never meant to be like some rigid scientific measurement. It was a thought experiment. Can machines think? That's the core of it all, really.
Yeah, right. And Turing himself, kind of reframed it.
Yeah.
It wasn't can machines think. It was can machines do what we like as thinking beings can do. Kind of a subtle but super important distinction.
Absolutely. It shifts the focus from this vague idea of thinking to something, well, measurable, capabilities.
Okay, so for everyone listening, picture this. It's 1950. Alan Turing, he proposes this test.
Yeah.
Human evaluators chatting with two hidden entities. One human, one machine. It's all text-based. If the evaluator can't tell which is which, the machine passes.
Right.
Yeah. Or is it?
Well, and that's the thing. AI has just exploded since 1950. In Turing's time, a machine having a conversation, well, it was theoretical.
Right.
Now we have ChatGPT writing, poems, even screenplays.
Yeah, and it's not just ChatGPT. I mean, we've seen these stories of chatbots fooling people into thinking they're human. Remember Eugene Dussman? Back in 2014, it convinced a third of judges it was like a 13-year-old Ukrainian boy.
Right. That was years ago. The landscape is totally different now with, large language models. ChatGPT, for example, it's shown behavior, well, some argue is more cooperative, even helpful than your average human.
So the goalposts have moved, haven't they? I mean, Turing test was meant to, well, explore machine thinking, but now we have these super advanced language models, and it feels like, well, maybe the test needs a revamp. Is it even relevant anymore?
It's a good question. Some argue it's become too simplistic, to capture what AI can actually do now, especially with all the variations popping up, like the reverse Turing test.
Oh, yeah.
The machine tries to figure out if it's talking to a human. Then there's the subject matter expert test. AI needs to sound like a specialist in, a specific field.
And keeps getting more specific, right? The total Turing test that throws in robots and, actual objects.
Right.
It's not just talking anymore. It's interacting with the physical world.
Which adds a whole other layer of complexity. It shows we're not just asking, can machines think anymore? We're asking, what kind of thinking do we want machines to do? And, well, how can we even measure their success at that?
So for all of you listening, think about this. If we keep changing the Turing test, is it really a valid measure of intelligence? Yeah. What does passing even mean when the test is constantly shifting?
It's almost like the Turing test is a victim of its own success. The more AI develops, the less the original test seems to capture what's really going on. I mean, think about Eliza. That program from the 60s fooled some people into thinking it was a therapist.
Right.
And it was just using, simple keyword matching.
Eliza just shows how you can game the Turing test. Right? Yeah. Passing doesn't necessarily equal true intelligence. Mm-hmm. It could just be clever programming, playing on how we, expect humans to interact.
Exactly. And Turing himself knew this was a possibility. He even suggested that, well, machines might need to intentionally make mistakes to seem more human. Which brings us back to that, big philosophical question.
Yeah.
Consciousness versus simulated consciousness.
Right. So can a machine that passes the Turing test, whatever version it is, can it actually understand what it's saying?
Yeah.
Or is it just a really, really good mimic?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. John Searle's Chinese room argument gets right at the heart of this. Imagine someone who, doesn't know Chinese, but they're given a set of rules to manipulate Chinese symbols.
Okay, so they can follow the rules and answer questions.
Right.
It seems like they understand Chinese, but they're just moving symbols around. They don't get the meaning.
Exactly. That's Searle's point. Passing the Turing test might not prove understanding. It might just show, the ability to manipulate information based on rules, kind of like a super complex algorithm.
It's so mind-blowing, right? Even if an AI aces the Turing test, can we really say it's thinking if it's not consciously aware of what it's doing?
Well, that's a question we might not be able to answer definitively, but it's essential to ask, especially as AI keeps advancing so rapidly. I mean, it challenges our very definitions of intelligence and what it means to be, well, human in a world where that line between us and machines is blurring more and more every day. It's amazing how the Turing test has, well, kind of evolved along with AI. And the focus has shifted, hasn't it? I mean, the original test, it was all about just mimicking human conversation. But now you see all these variations. They target different aspects of what we, might call intelligence.
Right.
It's like we're trying to pin down this slippery concept of intelligence by, I don't know, like looking at it from all these different angles.
Right.
And some of these new tests are like laser focused. We were talking about the subject matter expert test.
Mm-hmm.
AI can't just, chat about the weather anymore. It needs to like show expertise. Exactly. And that's where something like the Feigenbaum test comes in. Imagine an AI having to like hold its own in a conversation with a Nobel Prize winning physicist.
Oh, wow.
Could it, grasp those complex scientific theories, debate, even offer new insights? That's a whole different level compared to, just mimicking human quirks in casual conversation.
Right, right.
And then there's the total Turing test. It just throws language aside altogether.
Really?
Yeah, it adds in perception and interacting with the physical world. It's like saying, okay, you can talk the talk, but can you walk the walk? It recognizes that, intelligence isn't just about language. It's about perceiving your surroundings, understanding what you see and acting on it. It's about, well, having that mind-body connection that's so natural to us humans.
So to pass this, like total Turing test, an AI would need computer vision, right, to like see like we do, and robotics to manipulate objects.
Right.
And of course, those language processing skills to communicate and understand what it's doing.
Absolutely. It's a much tougher, more comprehensive test.
Yeah.
And it really gets at what it might mean for a machine to, demonstrate intelligence in a way that's comparable to humans.
Okay, so we have all these like variations of the Turing test.
Yeah.
Each with its own strengths and, weaknesses.
All right.
But like, what does this mean for AI research? Are these tests actually helping us like develop smarter machines?
That's a hot topic in the AI community. Some researchers think, focusing on passing the Turing test, especially that original version, it's a distraction.
Okay.
They say it's more important to build AI that can solve real-world problems, whether or not it can convincingly imitate a human conversation.
Like those people who say, we don't judge airplanes by how well they flap their wings like birds.
Exactly. The point is, we should focus on AI that excels in specific areas, like diagnosing diseases, making scientific discoveries, even, composing music.
And it's true. Some of the biggest breakthroughs in AI recently haven't been about, like, passing the Turing test.
Yeah, right.
Think about AlphaGo, beating a world champion Go player.
Yeah.
Or AI generated, like, those incredibly realistic images or music. Huge achievements, even if they don't involve, like, tricking someone in a chat.
That said, there are researchers who argue, the Turing test, even with its flaws, it still has value as a long-term goal. They say it like forces us to really grapple with what it means to be intelligent, to consider those, ethical implications of creating machines that might one day surpass our own abilities.
So it's like the Turing test isn't just a technical benchmark. It's a philosophical compass. It's guiding us through this, I don't know, uncharted territory of artificial intelligence.
Right. It prompts us to ask some really big questions, like, if a machine can convince us it's, thinking, feeling, even conscious, how should we treat it?
Yeah.
What rights and responsibilities might it have?
And what does it say about us as humans if we're, like, willing to accept machines as our intellectual equals or even superiors?
These are questions we can't ignore as AI keeps developing. The Turing test, in all its forms, reminds us of the, profound impact of this technology that we're creating.
It's like we're holding up a mirror to ourselves.
Yeah.
Trying to, like, understand what it means to be human when machines are getting better and better at mimicking. And maybe even surpassing our intelligence. It's exciting and a little unsettling.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this whole discussion so captivating. It's a journey of discovery, both in terms of, understanding AI's potential and exploring what it means to be human. But there's another aspect of the Turing test, a really interesting one that we haven't touched on yet. It's how the test has been used not just to, evaluate AI, but to understand ourselves better.
No, that's a cool perspective. So by studying how machines try to pass the Turing test, we learn about our own biases, our assumptions about intelligence,
right?
Even the subtle ways we, communicate and express our humanity.
Exactly. It's like the Turing test has become this, unexpected tool for introspection, helping us see ourselves through the eyes of machines that are, well, trying to be more like us.
It's kind of like those CAPI-TCHA tests, those annoying ones we all see online.
Right.
They're like mini reverse Turing tests. designed to tell humans and bots apart.
It's like an arms race between humans and machines, with each side trying to, outsmart the other.
Yeah.
It reflects that, broader challenge of navigating the future of AI.
Right.
Finding that balance between, harnessing its potential and protecting our own humanity.
Definitely a delicate balance.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes us think deeply about those, like, ethical and societal implications of all this technology that we're creating.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a lot, haven't we? The history, the variations, even the philosophy behind the Turing test. But what does all this mean for our listener? What are the, practical takeaways from this deep dive into AI and this quest to understand intelligence?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that the Turing test, at least in its, original form, it isn't enough anymore.
Okay.
It can't capture the complexity of, what AI is becoming capable of.
Mm-hmm.
We need to look beyond just whether a machine can convincingly, imitate human conversation,
Right.
and focus on a wider range of capabilities,
Yeah.
from problem solving and creativity to perception and even that, ability to learn and adapt.
So maybe it's just as important, this realization that the pursuit of creating intelligent machines, it's also a journey of self-discovery, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, by studying how machines try to pass the Turing test, we learn about our own cognitive biases, what we assume about intelligence, and really what it means to be human.
The Turing test and all its variations, it makes us confront these, big questions about the nature of intelligence, consciousness, and our place in a world where, that line between human and machine is just getting blurrier all the time.
It's a conversation that's only going to become more complex and, urgent as AI keeps advancing. And it's a conversation that we all need to be a part of. But before we, wrap up this deep dive, there's one more fascinating area to explore. It's about how AI is already changing the world around us in ways that are, exciting and a little unsettling. Okay, so we've really spent a lot of time on this philosophical side of the Turing test.
Yeah.
But, let's get down to earth. How is AI actually showing up in our lives, right now?
Well, one area where AI is making, a huge impact is virtual assistants. Think about Siri or Alexa, even Google Assistant. They're, practically part of the family for a lot of people.
Yeah.
We ask them questions, we tell them what to do, we even rely on them to help manage our busy lives.
It's not just convenience, though, is it? These virtual assistants are gathering tons of data about our habits, what we like, even our thoughts and feelings. Makes you wonder, are they learning more about us than we even know?
It is a valid question. That data is being used to, tailor our experiences, suggest product services, maybe even, sway our decisions. It brings up those big questions about privacy and control. Who owns all that data? How's it being used? And what are the, potential consequences for us as individuals and for society as a whole?
It's like we're stepping into this new world of, personalized technology where AI is shaping our digital lives in ways that we might not even fully grasp. And it's not just virtual assistants. AI is popping up everywhere. Healthcare, finance, education.
Oh, yeah. Think about healthcare. AI is being used to, analyze those medical images, spot diseases early on, even develop new treatments. In finance, it's detecting fraud, making investment calls, managing risk. And in education, it's creating customized learning experiences, giving students feedback tailored to their specific needs.
It's pretty amazing to think about, AI revolutionizing all these industries. But with all this progress, there are concerns too, right? What about people losing their jobs? Or biases creeping into AI systems? Or even the possibility of, AI being used for harmful purposes?
Absolutely. Those are legitimate concerns, no doubt. It's crucial that we, develop and use AI responsibly with ethics and human well-being at the forefront. We need to make sure AI benefits, everyone in society, not just a select few.
So it sounds like, we're looking at a future where AI is deeply woven into our lives.
Yeah.
From everyday tasks to these extraordinary breakthroughs. But what about those big existential questions that we were, talking about earlier, the ones about consciousness, sentience, what it all means?
Those questions, they aren't going away. As AI continues to evolve, we might reach a point where it becomes, increasingly difficult to tell the difference between human intelligence and, machine intelligence.
And what happens then? What happens when that line between, human and machine becomes so blurry we can't even tell them apart?
That's a question philosophers and, scientists will be wrestling with for, years to come. But I think it's important to remember that, at the end of the day, AI is a tool. A reflection of, our own creativity and ingenuity.
And the choices we make, about how we use that tool,
Hmm.
they will ultimately shape our relationship with AI and, I mean, maybe even the future of humanity itself.
It's a future full of, well, promise and potential pitfalls. But one thing is for sure, the conversation about AI, the Turing test, and what it means to be, intelligent, that conversation is just getting started.
So there you have it. We've gone from like this thought experiment all the way to the potential for these like profound societal shifts. The Turing test in all its forms, it's given us a way to like really think about intelligence, about what it means to be human, and what it might mean to share our world with machines that could one day, rival or even surpass our own cognitive abilities.
As we venture into this, uncharted territory of artificial intelligence, let's keep asking those tough questions. Let's stay curious and let's, well, make sure that we're building a future where AI serves humanity, not the other way around.
And that concludes our deep dive into the Turing test. We hope you've enjoyed exploring these ideas with us. Until next time, keep questioning, keep discovering, and keep diving deep into this fascinating world of ideas that shape our lives.